Hi, my name is Carrie Fonseca. I am the CEO and founder of the Next Step Foundation, Team Brandon. I'm here coming to you from my home, which I should be at your school, but unfortunately with COVID, that's not going to happen. So I wanted to speak mostly to the seniors and their parents. I will hope to be back in the schools next year as our economy and our state heals. My son Brandon was 21 years old. He had his whole life ahead of him. He was going to college to become a physical therapist. My husband and he worked together in the neuro outpatient rehab field. Never in my wildest dreams when I became a mom of 4 children did I ever think that anything like this would happen in our family. But you see, you have to understand something, and that is that choices matter. And no matter what kind of a parent you are, no matter how good you are, or you think you've talked to your children about the proper choices to make, or given them your best speech, they're still going to do what they want to do. And that's why I'm telling you my story today. So I told you Brandon was 21. He was with his friends Adam and Jessica, and Adam was 19 and Jessica was 19. They were driving on August 20th at about 5:30 in the afternoon. They had been out all day, carousing around, drinking, and unfortunately, that choice to drink and drive not only cost the life of Adam, but it also left my son with a severe traumatic brain injury. It left Jessica having what's called severe survivor's guilt for the last 18, almost 19 years. Actually, it has been 19 years. Sorry about that. They were driving westbound, heading to his apartment. He was only about 1.5 miles from his apartment when he lost control of the vehicle in a very high-speed road called Greenway Parkway and went across the median into oncoming traffic and collided. He got T-boned by a full-size truck and spun around and hit head-on by a full-size van. That T-bone caused that shaken baby syndrome action, and Brandon ended up having what's called diffuse axonal injury. When they spun around and were hit head-on by the van, that's what killed Adam. They were in a Honda Civic. It took months for Brandon to be able to come back from something that has changed our family forever. He never fully recovered. I ended up taking 24/7 care of him for 17 and a half years. Unfortunately, last January 21st, Brandon passed away. I fought so hard to get him the therapy he needed and get him well. We started this nonprofit so that he and I together could go to schools and make an impact and hopefully change the way that your choices are going to the choices you're going to make when you're out there after prom or after graduation. Even adults, even parents talking to you. You go to a bar or you go to a restaurant out for dinner with your family and you think it's okay to have 2 or 3 drinks, and probably you're fine, but unfortunately, we're a zero tolerance state. So if you were to get pulled over, chances are you would probably get some kind of a DUI. People don't realize how alcohol affects them. And I'm not against alcohol for 21 and over. I drink. I'm not going to practice something I don't preach. So I'm just saying that, when you're going to make choices that are going to affect not just your life, but the lives of the family members and the people that love you, you need to think once, twice, maybe even 3 times before you make that choice. You have to stop and think, who is this choice going to affect? Is it going to affect my family, or is it just going to affect me? Am I going to get a slap on the hand for it, or is it going to be lifelong? Brandon never thought like that. I know he didn't. I know he never thought that anything like this would ever happen to him. None of us in our family ever thought anything like this would happen, but unfortunately it did. The day the crash happened, we got a phone call from his friend Joey and telling us that he thought that Brandon had been in a crash. And I called to some hospitals and I finally found Brandon. They both, Adam and Brandon, came in as John Does. And so when I finally found him, he was already in ICU, and they told me he wasn't going to live and I needed to get there immediately, that he was on life support, he was in a coma. And parents, I know that you can probably relate to something like this, or at least it would be your worst nightmare. I know that for me, that was my worst nightmare, living that. At least I thought that was going to be my worst nightmare that I ever had to go through. Brandon and I together went to schools, and he was wheelchair bound. I washed him from head to toe. I fed him. Bowel and bladder, he was incontinent. There was nothing that he could do independently except for ride his bike. And that was because he was strapped into his bicycle. But it altered his life forever. It gave him a life that most people wouldn't want to live. Brandon, however, was a fighter, and he fought hard. He fought hard to live. He fought hard to get better. And it's unfortunate that in the end, he didn't end up being able to make it. But he was 38 when he passed away. It changed the life of our family. COVID has been horrible for me because I'm not out and about and talking to students and interacting with teachers and different organizations. I've been cooped up in my house, and I haven't been able to share my story. I will tell you, the most painful experience that any parent can ever go through. It's not a life that I would ever want any of you to experience or live. I know that, my daughters and my husband, their lives have moved forward, and yes, my life is moving forward, and I am starting to find joy again in the things that I can do with my family, but nothing will ever replace my son. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about him, and I don't think about what could have been. I miss him so dearly. I want to show you a video of the actual crash, and it'll have me talking a little bit. That'll explain a little bit about what Brandon suffered, the trauma that Brandon suffered. But more importantly, I want you guys to understand that even though there is some happiness in the video, because I did start pushing him through marathons, I created what's called the Vow to Drive Sober 5K, and I pushed him through, I can't even count how many marathons, half marathons, and other distance races to raise awareness around drinking and driving. As a parent, I can't explain to you enough how much we love you guys, and how much, no matter how much you think that we're nagging at you, we're not. We just care so much, and we love you so much, and we don't want you to make a choice that's gonna ruin your life and alter our lives as parents, and possibly even create a loss that we can never ever come back from. I can't ever do anything to bring my son back, but I can do something, and that is to talk to all of you about the consequences of your choices, and hope that you will make healthy choices moving forward in the future, and that you won't have that attitude that, oh, this isn't going to happen to me, because the average person drives drunk 80 times before they ever even get caught. And it will happen. It will happen to you eventually if you allow it. But I know you guys are all smart, you're getting ready to go to college, and you're going to make healthy choices. In the meantime, I want you guys to have a safe and fun summer, but I want you to be safe. I want to show you this video of Brandon and the crash, and then I'm also going to show you a quick video of who he was in his broken body. Thank you so much for your time. I love you all, and I hope to see you all next year, and God bless you. Thank you.
Couldn't do it last week.
Couldn't do it.
I'm gonna do it though. Come on, let's go. Straight up, let's go. That's all you can do. Come on, more. Come on. Up, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Good set. Brandon Gray, was that your all-time record?
2.5 times 2, baby.
All-time record, Brandon Gray.
Forever.
It flies in the face of all your pride, moves away the mad inside. It's always anger's own worst enemy. Even when the jury and the judge say you got a right to hold a grudge.
A deadly dinner-hour wreck in North Phoenix is under investigation tonight. Police believe it may involve a driver going the wrong way down a busy street. Mike Watkins is live right now with the story.
Yeah, Liz, more than 3 hours after this terrible accident, as you can see, Greenway Parkway still shut down at this hour in both directions. Phoenix police still on the scene trying to piece it all together, but at this point they're relatively convinced that alcohol played a role. The pictures you're about to see, very graphic, but perhaps the kind of pictures all folks should take a good, long, hard look at before they even contemplate drinking and driving. In the business of news reporting, vicious car accidents are frequently likened to war zones. This evening on Greenway Parkway, one traffic accident that truly deserves that terrible designation.
This car is just totally destroyed.
You're about a block away and how far the impact?
Yeah, it's very loud. There was no skidding at all. Everybody's going eastbound. The truck hits me. I swear, I looked in my mirror, and there's the carnage. That's all there was.
In all, 4 vehicles involved in this evening's accident, an accident that investigators now believe may have been triggered when the driver of this late-modeled Honda Civic allegedly began driving the wrong way into oncoming traffic at perhaps as much as 50 miles an hour.
Apparently, we had a car that decided to go westbound on the eastbound lanes of Greenway. The witnesses said he was going about 50 miles an hour when he impacted a full-size Ford pickup truck.
When it was over, not only the Civic and the pickup truck tangled up in this mess, but also this large van and this Dodge SUV. But the only serious injuries, and they were indeed serious, sustained by the 3 young people riding in the Civic. The young male driver and a young male front seat passenger, both transported by helicopter to awaiting emergency rooms. A young female riding in the back of the Honda, taken to the hospital by ground ambulance.
There is a smell of alcohol on the scene, but right now we're waiting for the investigators to come through with that.
Well, I guess the moral of the story is stay on your own side of the road. Don't drink and drive.
And basically, when I first found out about his accident, I was like really surprised, and I thought, you know, he was just in a coma and it wasn't really gonna like impact him that much. Then like after a month maybe, we found out that he had severe brain injury, and that part really impacted me because I knew that we would have to start all over with him, and he wasn't really like gonna be the brother that I used to have, and I'm gonna like have to change my whole life, you know, just for him practically. And he lived at home for quite a bit, and my mom was there, and so she got to take care of me and him, but her life mostly revolved around him. And then over this past summer, she moved out there with him in June to take care of him. And that part really impacted me because I've learned to, you know, take care of myself mostly. I've become more mature towards this, and now because I don't know, my dad takes care of me and stuff, and I don't know, people say it's real hard for me, but I've gotten used to it now because I understand that she has to be there for him also.
I felt a lot better when he was drinking and eating and stuff like that. I remember the first time I saw him in the hospital, I felt kind of scared, but then I knew it was really Brandon, and I felt a lot better that he was at least in the hospital and he was getting better. And I was happy that God was taking care of him.
It brings the reality to you that things like this do happen, and although you think that they'll never happen to you or anybody you know or anybody you love, the reality is that it does happen. And so it also, I guess it keeps you thinking that it could happen again if it's already happened once. So, I don't know, I think you go through life a little bit more cautiously, and I don't know, you just try to take advantage of the time that you get to spend with your family and friends, because you never know when things are going to change.
August 20th, 2001, we were at back to school night with my daughter Michaela, who was 12, and we got a phone call from one of Brandon's closest friends when we got home around 7:30 that he said that he thought Brandon had been in a car accident. And I asked him why, and he said that they had been at his work earlier that day and that they had been drinking, and it was him and two of his friends. And it's a really pretty foggy, but I do remember getting in the car. My daughter drove, and we drove up to the hospital, and I remember he was already in ICU by that point, and they escorted us upstairs. He had a tube coming out of his head. He had a ventilator in his mouth. His face was swollen beyond recognition, with lacerations all over his face. His left hand was crushed with compound fractures. He broke his pelvis. He broke his right hip, had a lacerated liver, and then obviously a very traumatic brain injury, had bleeds throughout his entire brain. They told us that he wouldn't live, that he wouldn't even live for the 24 hours.
I was supposed to go sign up for college, and I went to the DMV and got a call from Adam to hang out instead. And so I went over there to hang out, and we decided to go venture out in my car. And we went to a couple places to find applications for me for a new job. And then in the meantime, before we had even left, we had like a beer or two each. And when we were out and about, we decided to pick up another 12-pack and just kind of driving around drinking. And then we ended up at my boyfriend's work, and we stopped and stayed there for a little bit, had another beer or so, and then we stopped and got another 12-pack, and next thing you knew, we were on Greenway, almost to his apartment, and we just went on the wrong side of the road. I woke up, and because I was kind of like scrunched over, and I just remember I sat up, I opened my eyes, and I said, "Please don't call my mom." I yelled it. I knew there was commotion going on. I knew there was an accident, but I couldn't see anything. Like, God just had my eyes clouded to where I didn't see no blood, I didn't see nothing. And they did the jaws of life and took me out. I went by ambulance. And then I remember waking up in the hospital, and I asked where Adam was first. And then my mom made sure before I woke up that they drugged me pretty decent so that she knew I was gonna lose it. So.
Forgiveness.
It's hard. Yeah. Because I didn't understand why I made it and I was okay and everybody else was, hurt. And that really bothered me.
Does this still bother you?
Mm-hmm. And that it was my car. And that right before it happened, literally, within 5 minutes, I was in the front seat the whole entire time for hours. And I just got into the back seat.
Was Brandon driving the entire day? Because he liked to drive.
I'm like, why do you want to drive? He's like, it's a stick shift. I want to drive. I was like, all right.
Forgiveness. Oh, forgiveness.
All right, you guys, awesome.
Go Team Brandon, about to drive sober.
Go Team Brandon!
Go Team Brandon, about to drive sober.
This is Team Brandon. Very nice. Well done, guys and gals. That father has fun story.
You did awesome, Chad. Yeah, but you did great anyway.
My leg.
Are you happy?
Nobody's pushing you.
Look at, you're all by yourself. You're riding your bike. Make room, make room. Make room.
Washington State, number 20.
Yeah, show me those muscles. Woo, you're the Hulk. Woo, look at that guy. Wow, show those muscles off. He's the Hulk. He's the Incredible Hulk. Smile for Mom. Brandon.
And today I have two special guests here from the Next Step Foundation team, Brandon. I have the creator and founder, Carrie Fonseca, and her son, Brandon. How you doing today, Brandon?
Focus. Thank you. Are you having fun here in Mexico? Yeah? Brandon, smile. Do you like the water? Yeah? That's it. Go. Go, Brandon, go, 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 go. Go, Brandon. Come on, Brandon. Go, Brandon, get it, get it. Go, Brandon. Come on, Brandon. Come on, Brandon, you got it, you got it. Take it down. Take it down. Go, Brandon! There you go! Bop the head! Yeah! Woo! Go, Brandon! There you go! There you go! Woo! All right, Brandon! Smile. Stick your tongue out. All right, we are on our street, and Fudge is still hitchhiking, and Brandon's loving having him on his lap. Speed racer, dude. Speed racer. Woohoo! Are you gonna turn that corner? Wow, look at you go. Look at you turning that corner all by yourself. Woohoo! That was totally independent. That was great. So good.